CBTV Sports Weekend Review. I'm Double Warner along with you. Well, it's March Madness. The NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament in full gear. Sweet 16 beginning Thursday night with 4 games. And Tucker, it is going to be in Cleveland of all places. It's interesting where they pick these places to have these games. But in Cleveland tonight, here's the matchup. The first one is really a good one. Notre Dame and Wichita State. The Shockers, of course, one of those mid-majors the last few years that have had deep runs in the NCAA tournament. What do you think about this matchup tonight?
Yeah, well, you know, just 2 years ago, they got to that Final Four run, and it was all because of Greg Marshall's coaching. They had great players, too. Some really, really good players have gone through that Wichita State program. But in the coaching battle there, you've got to give the edge to Marshall over Mike Brey, you know, who's one of those guys, despite the quality of his teams. And I think this is his best one yet. He's not a guy that really puts it together that well in the tournament. They did suffer that, you know, that close game against Northeastern, nearly blew that one at the end. They've had these close calls. So I'd say that Wichita State probably takes this one, but you know, you've got 2 really good teams here. Wouldn't be surprised either way.
The other matchup in Cleveland tonight is West Virginia against some program named Kentucky. They're pretty good.
According to who, Mike?
Everybody.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think that this isn't going to be that easy of a walkthrough for Kentucky. We know that they're a defensive team more than an offensive one. That's a team that really is just, you know, they might not score, you know, 70, 80 points on every opponent that they face up until the Final Four. And West Virginia, they play tough. They play tougher than anybody. And this is, you know, Kentucky just faced Cincinnati, and that game was not a blowout either. West Virginia is a little bit better at Cincinnati's game than Cincinnati is. So I think this one at least stays close. I don't think that West Virginia has much of a shot of actually winning the game. But I think we will see a pretty close, low-scoring affair here.
Probably, like you say, almost a carbon copy of the last game Kentucky played, like you mentioned, against Cincinnati. Cincinnati very physical, West Virginia very physical defensively.
And I'll tell you this, they're fortunate that they're not playing with Cincinnati and West Virginia in the same weekend. They're lucky that they got that break.
Yeah, you're right about that. And, of course, Kentucky is trying to make history by becoming an unbeaten team, which would be, if they can run through and win the tournament, they would be the first team since 1976, Bob Knight's Indiana Hoosiers, to go unbeaten on the season. All right, a couple of other games tonight on Thursday night. North Carolina is taking on Wisconsin, and Arizona taking on Xavier. A couple of interesting games. These games are going to be played in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, a lot warmer than Cleveland and Syracuse, too. That's where you want to be. In that first game, you know, UNC is a quality team. They always are. But I think this is Wisconsin's best team yet. I really do. They're even better than they were last year, where they had a lot of defensive issues. This year, they've really tightened up on the defensive end of the ball. I think that they advanced to the Elite Eight pretty easily, and same with Arizona. Again, a really strong team. I think they're destined for an Elite Eight rematch. And this year, I think that Arizona will come away with that one. I don't think Xavier will give them much of an issue.
Interesting, Marcus Page has had a terrific season. When he's on fire from the three-point line, that makes North Carolina even tougher because they are big inside, like Wisconsin, so it should be a pretty good matchup. And I like Arizona over Xavier, although Xavier, tremendous job that they've done in getting this far. All right, Friday night games in Syracuse, New York. It'll be North Carolina State hooking up with Louisville, a pair of ACC teams in that one. And Michigan State will take on Oklahoma in Syracuse. What do you think about those 2 matchups?
Well, these aren't 2 of the games that I'm going to be more excited about this weekend, unfortunately. NC State and Louisville, that one might just be an ugly Sweet 16 matchup. And if you play ugly basketball, that's good for you if you're the underdog. You want to be able to force the team to play ugly basketball. That's what West Virginia has succeeded at for so much. So in that one, I think Louisville comes away with it. I think they've got a lot more talent. And I think talent will win out in this game alone. Oklahoma and Michigan State is a little bit different. This isn't one of Tom Izzo's best teams. Yet, you know, they're still back in the Sweet 16. Same as it always is for Tom Izzo. That'll be close. I think Oklahoma's got a pretty solid team this year. I do like what Buddy Hield can do for the Sooners. But Michigan State, I mean, is there anybody that can outcoach Tom Izzo in the tournament? I'll go with Sparty.
You can count on one hand probably if there are any, you know. But yeah, I agree. I think Michigan State will move on, and I think Louisville will move on as well. And in Houston on Friday night, it'll be Gonzaga. They will take on UCLA, and Duke will take on Utah. A lot of folks think that for Mark Few, the coach at Gonzaga, who's done a terrific job with them, this is his best team as far as a chance to get to the Final Four.
And I'm one of those people. This is probably the best shooting team in the tournament, Gonzaga. They've got so many options. Not even just, you know, their guards, but Kyle Wiltshire, you know, big man, can step outside, take the 3. He's shooting well over 400. And so is the team as a whole, honestly. They're 405 from three-point land, which is just an incredible number, probably record-setting pace. So I think Gonzaga will come away with that one pretty easily. UCLA, not really a team that's been tested that much so far. I think Gonzaga should score on them pretty easily.
Now, the other matchup, Duke-Utah, though, but you think this might be a surprise where maybe Utah will knock off Duke, huh?
I think that they don't have a whole lot on the inside, and as good as Jahlil Okafor is, he's not really that advanced defensively yet, and that's going to put him with a target on his back when you can get the ball onto the inside. Utah's got some solid post players. They're most known for Delon Wright, who is a perimeter guard, but they've got big guys too. They've got the size to match up with Duke. They're not any shallower. Duke is not a very deep team, and that's definitely going to hurt them at some point this tournament. So I think this one could end up being really close. I'd still take Duke.
Yeah.
I still think they're the better team, but I think that Utah's going to give them a lot of trouble.
All right, championship game is coming up, I believe, April 5th or 6th. It's the day after Easter, Monday night. Who do you have in the championship, and who do you think wins it?
Well, honestly, at the beginning of the tournament, I picked UVA to go all the way to the championship game, and obviously that did not happen. At this point, I think Kentucky obviously advances from their region, and I think that they'll end up in the championship game. I think Arizona will win against Wisconsin in the seemingly inevitable Elite Eight matchup there. In that one where Villanova and UVA both lost, it's just kind of a toss-up at this point. Not really any favorites anymore. I've got to go Michigan State. Right there. It's how are you going to pick against Tom Izzo at this point? He already got his big upset. Now there's a pretty easy walk for him, I think.
Exactly.
And then, I'll take Gonzaga over Duke. I think that they've got great shooting. They've got a great post presence. They're a really well-rounded team. And, they're not bad defensively either. And that's really helpful. They're well-rounded. And that's what you need to do in order to beat Duke here in the tournament.
So who wins it all?
I'll take the field, but I'd also say Kentucky has the best chance by a lot over any other team.
Well, I think Kentucky and Duke are going to square off in the national championship game, and I think Kentucky is going to cap off an unbeaten season. Although I think that a Kentucky-Duke matchup, a Kentucky, like you say, it's the field against Kentucky, but I think Kentucky is just too deep and too good. But again, I don't think it's a lock. There's a chance somebody in the field could knock off Kentucky, but it's going to take a supreme effort. Almost kind of like the Villanova-Georgetown matchup a couple of years ago. Everybody thought Georgetown was going to win it. Villanova shot like 80% of it. Didn't miss, didn't turn the ball over. I think it's going to take that kind of an effort to do that.
Yeah, and who's going to be this year's pink team? That's really the question.
All right, we're going to take one more break on this edition of CBTV Sports Review. Mike Curran